What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Movie Talks, your only podcast you need for all your movie news, movie reviews, and more. So we have an action-packed episode for episode 25. Who would have known?
25. That's a quarter of a century.
That's right. So we are, for all you humans out there, I don't know if you're animals or whatever are listening, but this is the the physical peak. Generally, so at 25 you hit your physical peak, and unfortunately then it's a little bit downhill, and that's a nice little.
It's so funny you say that.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was around that age, I remember you saying to me, "This is your peak." I'm like, nah. Now I look back, like, oh man, my peak was lame. I was never at a peak. My peak wasn't even a peak.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a foreshadowing of what we've got to come. Obviously, we've got the physical 100 coming, and I thought, I'll throw a few little things in here and there. I'll try not to go on like a rant, like when I was a fun guy and started talking about Paul Statement
I
and
laughed
stuff
the whole way through listening to that.
Yeah, so
we are funny.
I hope you guys enjoyed that, but we do have a big lineup for you. Obviously, it's our 3 shows set up. So we got the physical 100 record of Ragnarok and Pamela, a love story. So a little bit of different directions we're going down today. And we're recording in the morning, so you'll see us a little bit disheveled. So it's a little bit of a different take. I've got my my little nerdy cup, which I'm a very, very big fan of it. Only the people on the Vodcast will see. But the dragon, the green dragon.
What is the green dragon? Is that a reference?
It is a reference to a very famous movie. Well, I was going to say trilogy, but there's 6 movies. Can you guess it?
Like Lord of the Rings? No, it's a Green Dragon's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's the pub in the Hobbit.
Yeah, the movies that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, so I brought it all the way from New Zealand. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, when you went to... Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then...
How cool.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a vulgar story, but also I sent a message when I got to use the toilet in the Shire to all my friends.
Yeah, you got excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
message all of us.
How often do you get to, use a toilet in the Shire?
Take a shit in the Shire? Yeah.
That's the one. I was trying to be discreet, but it's out there. It's out there now.
I mean, we're not known for our discretion here, are we?
No. All right, I've got a new quick little game that we're going to play. I'm going to give you 3 famous movie quotes, and you're going to try and guess the movie.
Oh, fuck me!
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Better be quick on Google.
Nope. I've already got them up. So
no, it's like I better be quick with my searches. I hate being wrong.
Yeah. Famous movie quotes. That's right. All right. Ready for the first one?
I'm so ready.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Oh my god, I'm way too tired. I know that line. That's such a simple one as well.
It is.
Now I feel like I'm going to lose credibility because I can't get simple shit like this.
It's a simple one. It's one of the ones.
Casablanca, right?
It is. Yeah. It's one of the ones they make us, study in what is it called? Screen studies. I'm going to keep these simple just because, it's early in the morning for you, and also it's a new game, so I'll ease you in before I throw you in the deep end.
Sure.
Quote 2, you're going to need a bigger boat.
Jaws, but that's too simple.
Yeah, right.
It's often misquoted. Everyone always says, we're going to need a bigger boat. No.
Okay.
Anyway, go.
Yep. All right. If that was too easy, let's go a little bit harder. And there's no crying in baseball. I know you.
I haven't seen this movie, but I know it's from League of Their Own.
Yeah, it is.
But no, I've never seen it. But I can picture the scene. Him yeah.
Okay, I thought the sports would throw you because you're not a big sports movie fan.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But that's one of those lines.
Right. Yeah, I thought, I'd put it out there, see what happened. But
that's fair.
Yeah. Well done.
That made me really nervous. I didn't like that.
That's 3 from 3. Well done.
Ooh.
Hooray. Moving on to our second game, and what everyone's kind of favorite might even be, it might get taken over by the movie quotes. Who knows? We'll see. But this is movie news. This is where you tell us if you're interested, not interested, or you don't care.
I don't care.
And
Which
give
to
us.
me is the same as not interested, but that's the rules you made.
No, it's different. Like, not interested is like, I'm not interested, but I might still see it. I don't care. I'm not going to see it at all. There's a whole difference.
You make me look. You make me watch a lot of things I don't care about.
Exactly, because I get enjoyment from it.
Yeah.
Yep. Intro, please.
Boop, 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 boop. Is it?
Oh,
No, a short one.
All right, I thought you were going to give us like movie news or something at the end. So
movie news. That's right. I do forget that part.
so people knew what was going to happen.
Movie news, everyone.
Yep.
There it is.
All right. First one, we'll start with the sporting direction. So Michael B. Jordan says Creed 4 is happening for sure. And they made sure that they had for sure in the brackets, like after it's happening. I'm not sure why they need. So the whole tagline is that Michael B. Jordan says Creed 4 is happening. And then after it's happening, with quotations, for sure.
For sure. Right. So it's a direct quote. He said for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of them.
Ooh, any? What about Rocky?
Any?
Have you seen Rocky?
Rocky, yeah. I think I've seen the first two Rockies. But I watched none of the Creeds at all.
Yeah. The Creeds are good.
Not through detest, just or protest. I just haven't watched them.
Okay. That's fair. Are you interested? Not interested. Don't care.
I don't care right now, but
okay, fair. Bad Boys. Yeah, Bad Boys 4 is happening.
It's so insane.
Bad Boys 4.
They're so old.
But they'll be the grumpier cops. Martin Lawrence will be his like sporadic sort of usual self, and Will Smith. I don't know how they're going to play Will Smith's character like getting old. Will he just be less of like the ladies' man, or will he just be more like grumpy,
more violent?
You reckon?
Yeah. Look, to me, because the direction. I mean, I always refer to like Eddie Murphy. There was a time where he was one of my favorite things on television and movies, and then he had kids, and having kids just like dulled him down so much because he was worried too much about his perception in his kids' eyes. Which I understand, but also I want him as an entertainer. It's all about me, right?
Yep.
Well, so I don't know. I can't imagine these two. I don't think it's going to be as magical and as funny as the first ones. I think it's going to be really cheesy, and there's going to be a lot about like them and their families and.
But considering all their kids are older now, do you reckon maybe their content will mature and they'll be less?
Yeah, I guess potentially. But I still think even the show is going to have like a family values theme to it, I reckon.
Yeah.
And I'm just so sick of everything having to rely on that. So I'm not that interested, but I'm still going to watch it because I want to see if it's a train wreck. I want to see if I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, fair.
We'll see.
I know you're not a big superhero fan, but did you ever see the whole stuff with the Flash movie? How the
no,
what's his name? The guy pretty much just went nuts. Like he got arrested and then he like disappeared during the filming of the Flash. Like there's a whole thing around it, pretty much to the point where they wouldn't use him in the actual Flash film. So they scrapped the entire film, and essentially they're trying to reboot it. But there was talks of like bringing him back after the whole controversy and like keeping him as the actor for Flash.
I just looked it up that Ezra Miller has been accused of grooming and manipulating an 18-year-old North Dakota resident.
Yeah.
Right. Jesus. No, I guess I ignore everything Marvel, but fuck.
This isn't Marvel, this is DCU, mate.
Oh, well, that's how much I care. I do know that, but I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's really upsetting.
Yeah, so they were like almost finished filming, and then that whole thing hit the pub or the media, and they were like, "No, we can't do this with the publicity because DC don't have a good track record with their films anyway." besides Batman standalones. And then they were talking about bringing him back. Why wouldn't you just get the actor that played the Flash in the TV show? Because considering that's already established, he's a better Barry Allen than this guy. And just reboot it.
I just read that in 2020, a video came out that he was choking a woman in a bar. Disappointing that they still wanted to side with him after a red flag like that. It serves him right. You see something like that, and you choose to ignore it. I'm glad that it's fucked up the Flash.
Yeah, well, I don't like the Flash much anyway. He just runs really fast. So
yeah, I actually find, and this probably is, I mean, even though I don't care about superheroes and stuff, I still have preferred Marvel over DC. And I still think I like Quicksilver more, but I'm also biased because the actor, and I love X-Men.
Okay.
That's what I grew up with. Fucking X-Men aesthetic.
Okay, cool. That is our movie news.
Outro. Lulu.
Now, yeah, nice. You're improving as we get along. It's I'll give it to you. It's the morning, so yeah.
The disappointing thing is I'm really not improving. It's been 25 weeks.
We'll agree to disagree. But we're going to move on to our newest, biggest blockbuster that Netflix have taken from South Korea. This is the Physical 100. So essentially 100 contestants in top physical shape compete in a series of grueling challenges to claim the honor and cash rewards as the last one standing. So did you watch this dub or sub?
Initially I flipped, I went back and forth because I didn't want to pay attention enough to listen to read. So I was like, yeah, I'll listen to the dub, but oh boy, is the dub shit.
I reckon they've got two voice actors. They've got two voice actors, and they were like
doing different voices.
And it's like it's not even good. Like there's no separation really between the like obviously they've got a female voice and they've got a male voice, and there's very, very slight differences between it. Like sometimes they're like, I watched there's 4 episodes out now, and I had to watch the start of episode 4 because I wanted to know.
I did too.
I wanted to know the outcome of the final sort of MMA guys grueling it out.
Definitely same, because they leave every episode mid challenge, like on a cliffhanger, as they sort of would. So yeah, I did the same thing. I had to know the answer who won that final fight in episode 3, so I watched the beginning of 4 as well. So
good.
Glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it, but I'm glad. Great.
Yeah, just thought it happened because we're both too interested.
Yeah. So this is essentially they've got the top athletes from all over South Korea. Like they range from wrestlers to bodybuilders to dancers, like whatever. They just got to be in good shape. Although you can sort of argue powerlifters aren't always in the greatest shape, but they've also that's what
they just
sport
refer
needs.
to them as like the most fit. They keep saying the fittest people in Korea.
Yeah, but then they always make reference to like their physique, which is a little bit of a contradicting in terms of how they're talking about like what's the definition of it. But regardless of it, I think that was literally so they could call it the Physical 100 and have like more visual representation of like the top physical fitness. Yeah. So
it's really cool when in the first episode, it starts with there's a room full of 100 like clay molds of people's busts, like, you know, torso. And that was a really nice introduction to all the characters because, you know, you got to see them, I guess, characters, but the actual competitors, when they come in, there's a bit of an introduction, whatever. But I actually like the busts because that's exactly, you know, you can tell exactly what they are best at by just looking at their torso. And some of like, I love that this show had dancers and mountain climbers as well as like bodybuilders and wrestlers. Like it was all walks of whatever you consider fit. Yeah. But yeah, I really like the clay molds. To me, like a really good way of sort of just quickly glancing and understanding a little bit about them.
Yeah. So we watched 3 and a bit episodes. The first episode is all about introducing the characters. and boy, does it drag. Like the first
Takes
half
a
an
while.
hour takes a very long time, and
Yeah.
they're literally introducing almost all of the characters. Like not all of them, but majority of the characters get
Yeah.
introduction, and it's mainly the big famous ones. Like I probably would have preferred them to only get a number of big headliners.
Hmm.
Like there's a few Olympians. There's
Yeah.
some like famous
Like
Korean.
YouTube celebrities.
Yeah, like there's some
Yeah.
backup dancer for I don't know
Yep.
some famous.
Something.
I
Yeah.
don't know, like
There's an American baseball player who plays in South Korea now.
yeah, that was odd. I was,
Mm.
but whatever. Like it's
Some
an
random German guy.
it's an interesting concept, but I did fast forward a little bit through the introductions because I didn't care.
Okay.
I didn't have the connection for like a lot of the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't think like it was long, but I didn't think it dragged, if I'm
okay,
honest. I think that start I kind of like the beginning of reality shows, getting to meet everyone and sort of starting to choose your favorites.
all right,
I didn't mind that. I didn't think it was because they'd glance over a couple and then they'd give you like a bit of a backstory on one, and then they'd give you, watch them interact in the room, and then they'd sort of repeat that. I didn't feel like it was just watching the same thing back and back and back.
no,
But yeah,
yeah, I kind of disagree. I feel like it got very sort of samey, but
yeah.
it is what it is. Like I kind of like
How else?
Survivor or like The
Hmm.
Bachelor, where it's like they give you key people to like watch.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
guess that kind of gives you like who to watch out for, and you know who's going to go like
It
further on.
creates a bias. Hmm.
Yeah, which is, I don't know, that's kind of what I'm used to. But once we finally get into the activities, the
Hmm.
first activity is they split the group up into, well, in half. So there's 50 people competing at one time. I do like
Yeah,
how this was an elimination. Like, I would have been sad to see this to be like, if you
yeah.
fall,
You're
you're out.
instantly gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I was concerned when they first did it, and I was like, oh no, you're gonna get rid of
Hmm.
people. And like the
Hmm.
big boys are gonna struggle at this. So you had to hold on for as long as you
Yeah,
could, like as long as you can on this essentially square grid of metal poles.
yeah. Monkey
And
bars.
yeah, and this is obviously going to favor like your lighter frames. Like you see the
Hmm.
bodybuilders and you see the powerlifters, they drop out straight away, which
Yeah.
is which is not the game for them.
Yeah, I even wrote on my notes, the bodybuilders are fucked game one. And I
Mm,
felt like it's a bit unfair, but knowing that it was just to get an advantage, because the winner of this game got to pick who they were competing for in game two, which we'll get to.
yeah,
But yeah, games like this do feel very one-sided. But I'm hoping that the next game is the opposite. It's sort of like a game of strength and actually favors the bodybuilders and stuff.
yeah. The next game obviously is more about strategy in terms of using your strength to your advantage.
As long as you pick.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, yeah. So I hope the next game to get an advantage hopefully favors the opposite. But
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
yeah. So
Anyway, continue.
my biggest problem with this show is that they do. It felt like it was chopped up or edited
Hmm.
for TV. So like it would have
Yep.
been fine if we had ad breaks in there, because it's like sometimes during ad breaks you forget what's happened. But there's so
Hmm.
many times that you're getting replays, and the
Yep.
replays are like multiple times. Like I think there's one of them where I saw the same thing about 3 or 4 times before I actually saw the outcome, and I was like,
Yep.
I want to move
They
on
did
from
that
this.
heaps.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, come on, guys.
Especially in game two, where oh geez, pardon me. In game two, where they are fighting, there's times a person will get thrown to the floor, and then they'll show that throw from like four different angles, like
Yeah,
fucking the end of Speed. It's just over and over again.
yeah. Even the people falling. So like this one, I probably would have preferred them all to hang up at the same time, but I guess you limited to
Bit
space.
hard, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I got to say, the set designs are really cool. Like they made it look
Hmm.
really intimidating. It looked really cool.
Yep.
But like those people that drop early, I don't care, and I like just let them drop. I just want to see the grueling like top contenders.
The
Really,
end. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like watching the beat test. The times you've done it at school, you watch kids running. It's like the start's just boring. Like, yeah, cool, good on you. You made it, level 3, level 4. But then at the end, it's like actual competitive.
Yeah, like that's what I want to see. I want to see the top fitness people like contesting right at the end to
Yeah.
see how much like mental like fortitude or like strength they
Hmm.
got to be able to really hang out for as long as possible. Where they focused on like the early people dropping out, and that's fine. Like if you want to show the big boys dropping out because they make a big
Yeah.
splash and you kind of
Yep.
know, but like that middle of the pack, I don't care. Like I think it was top 10. They started giving backstories for a lot of the people hanging there. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are we getting more backstory on these guys? I don't care. Show
Yes.
me the top 1 or 2 because we've got a whole other
Yep.
50 people to come in. So it took far too long for the intro and then for this game. Like this game could have been chopped into the first
Yeah, way
episode.
shorter. I
And
even wrote
that's
that the editing feels very 2005. There's moments with the editing where it's like these things go on the screen. It's like shoo 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 shoo. Um, yeah, it feels like a 2005 movie special.
yeah. So like they repeat a lot of things. It could have been shorter and then just show the top competitors because the next game is, I would say, more interesting, but it does fall
Yeah.
into the same problems that
Yes,
this has.
heavily.
And
I'd say probably worse, like more so. I think the first one was almost more exciting, even though the second one was literally one-on-one fights.
yeah.
I got so bored of it. Maybe bored isn't the right word. Just ready to move on.
Yeah, you could have picked. So the second game is after the winners. So the winners got to then they split the group up into the top 50 on this like I guess seedings like what is
Like a
it
podium.
stadium? Yeah, podium is a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
word. And they got to then move down and pick who they wanted to do, which is interesting. But again, we didn't need to see everyone pick like the interesting matchups. I
yeah.
reckon is what you should have focused on. Like there was a few guys that were picking girls. There's
And
one
vice
lady
versa.
who is like so jacked, like it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
dude.
And I'm going to go into that because that's a very interesting and it's making a lot of waves at the moment on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I'll go into that a little bit. I'll skirt around it because we're not a political sort of show.
I like the sexism stuff.
In terms of like the male female competitors, like he was a bit of a psycho in terms of how they edited it.
Yeah,
So but essentially this game is there was 2 arenas. One had a big circle water pit in the middle. They had to carry this ball, which looked like a medicine ball, but it didn't seem
yeah.
or look that heavy. And then so field A was like a grass field with like some obstacles. And then
Almost like a playground.
yeah, and then field 2 was just like this circular muddy pit. So
Yeah.
they
So it's
got
like an
to
agility course and a fighting course.
yeah. So that
And
they
three
got
minute timer. Whoever's holding the ball at the end of 3 minutes wins.
yep. Or if there's no winner, they go into like a sudden death of a minute. So
Yeah, which
yeah.
is weird, but whatever.
So again, they focus far too heavily on trying to showcase everybody. Like they could have
Yeah.
shown just a number of highlights if they were going to show different people. Like the matchups are really cool, but there was like a farmer guy and then the dancer, which they showed the
Yeah.
entire time and they gave backstories on both. And it was like almost
Uh-huh.
10 minutes where it didn't need that. Like you could have gone, this guy's a farmer, this guy's a dancer. We're going to show their endeavor and like just show me the highlights of it. I don't want to watch the entire
Yeah.
thing. The
Yeah.
only there was probably 3 that were really interesting. No, 4 actually. The first one was when the first power lifter came out and he put the ball in the corner and then was like just trying to hold the guy
Yeah.
off. And then
Yeah.
there was a twist in terms of like the endeavor and like turning the bloke over and him going like turtle mode. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was exciting, and I think they
Mm-hmm.
edited that reasonably well because
Yeah.
that was exciting to see like David versus Goliath.
Yeah,
Then
definitely.
you've got I enjoy the 2 girls. One was the MMA fighter, and you could actually or the wrestler, like you could actually see her using
Her technique. Yeah.
yeah, and she was just absolutely dominating her.
How's the
Like
2 boxers as well?
the 2
The 2 women
MMA guys.
boxers.
Oh
No, the 2
yeah,
women boxers, where
yeah,
one was like an up and coming boxer and one was like a veteran champion boxer. And they went fucking hard. They're
yeah.
like throwing each other on the ground, slamming into like the sandbags and stuff. It got pretty violent.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for. Like, I want to see those
Yes.
ones. Like, show me all those ones, but just show me like maybe the highlights of the other ones of people getting eliminated, so I know who's going.
Yeah. I
But
would have preferred the whole second competition, the one-on-ones, being, like you said, just sort of highlights of each fight, one after the other. Just don't worry about showing me backstory at the same time. Don't worry about giving me give me a little bit of the audience reactions, because I enjoyed listening to them sort of almost commentate. And that's
in
a good
this
thing, actually.
in the same voice. Oh, look at
Yeah,
his
I
back
stopped by
muscles.
then. We actually finished that point earlier. By then, I had stopped listening to the dub. I got to probably the end episode 1, or I got to the point where they started hanging from the in the challenging game in episode 1, and turned it off, because when they're competing, I don't want to hear some guy in a recording booth going, "Oh yeah, this hurts." Like, it's super awkward and shit. So by then, I'd gone back to the sub, and I watched from then on in sub. But that it should not have been 3 minutes. This should have only been 1 minute long. There were 50 fights. If you made them all a minute long, showing a little bit of the interaction with the audiences, we could have almost watched the entirety, or even a 30-second clip of each one. I always think about, I'm not a big footy guy, AFL. For those who are from international, we have a sport here which is silly. Aussie rules football. Um, Aussie rules football was only interesting in the final quarter. And I think you should just make it shorter to make it more entertaining. That's, to me, how this game. Well, a lot of the time in these games, the competitors didn't want to tire themselves out. So for 2.5 minutes, they did fuck all. And then we got to see 30 seconds, but they replayed everything 3 times. So it was a minute and a half. The editing in this is what sort of ruined it for me.
Yeah, I fully agree. I played AFL at quite a high level, and I've always said that I think the game should be 2 20-minute halves, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
would be far more exciting. And because by the third and fourth quarter, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
But I just
I know it's a
didn't
game of
care.
endurance, but yeah, not when you can make 1,000 subs per game. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're not a sporting channel. We're a movie channel.
Yeah. So essentially, the next two is the really jacked female. I'm assuming she was a bodybuilder because she was ginormous, and essentially he looked like a fighter because he did a number of judo throws and a number of takedowns, but essentially he looked like an average physique, and she would have outweighed him, and he absolutely ragdolled her. Like, it was pretty insane. And lots of people at the moment, I'll try and just put what I'm seeing is that lots of people on TikTok and social media are saying this is why there's a female male like weight class in different categories in sport, which is an interesting argument. Like, there's a whole different, we're not going to go into the political things, but I found that was pretty interesting.
But it was nice to see that I think weight mattered more, because there was one where the woman did win because she outclassed him with weight.
Yeah.
I do want to go into. I'll let you finish what you were saying, but I do want to go into some of the politics with gender in this, which is I found interesting. Please continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so I found that whole part real interesting, and I liked how they were painting him as a villain. So like when he was in knee ride, so I do martial arts as well. So when he had the knee on the belly, and they were like, "Get off her, she can't breathe." Like, you can breathe, it's uncomfortable, but there's no point in that where she was like in danger of suffocating or anything. He just literally had her pinned, but the show was like, I don't know, making it really dramatic in terms of she can't breathe,
making it feel like she's like gonna die.
Yes, like there was no point in that where she was gonna die. Like, it wasn't in the water. He just fully had her pinned. And
there were moments where their heads were underwater earlier. I felt like that was more dangerous than just a knee ride.
But there was no point where they were like, "Oh, help, they're gonna drown," but they were like focusing on him essentially. Like in a chokehold.
I don't think they would have stopped the fight if it was male on male.
Yeah, which is odd. And then they went to close-ups of like him telling him to zip it. Like, they were painting him as a villain.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, I
He was
like
being
it.
quite villainous though. But yeah,
Yeah,
even the audience were like, "Oh, he's so intimidating the way he looks at us, like he's so deadpan." And yeah, it was kind
yeah.
of weird.
I don't know. I kind of like a villain in those shows. Like you got to have
Yeah,
someone
not against it.
you hate. Where that's
Mhm.
clever to pick it, and I guess that was like situational. Here's a moment we can sort of build a character for people
Yep.
to hate. So, and
Yeah. Yeah.
then the last interesting one, which is the I guess veteran MMA fighter and like
hmm
a up and coming MMA fighter, which
hmm
that was interesting. Where
It was. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like because I watched it in dub and it was like I want to give a suggestion, and the younger guy was like, I want to do MMA rules. Where
hmm
I feel like it needed a little bit more explaining because I was like, they got no mouth guards in. Are they going to
Yeah.
like be throwing like punches? But they were just
Yeah. Yeah.
throwing open hand. It was like a slap boxing
Slaps. Yeah.
MMA, which was like the slaps to the body. There was a number of like
hmm
pretty solid hand
Yeah,
marks,
for sure.
like they were reasonable, but thought it just needed a little bit extra explaining because I was like, this could
Yeah.
I don't know where this is going.
It's the same with the general rules. They never told us. Like we found out early when there's one point where one person's holding the ball and they're like wrestle it off and they elbow the other person in the face. So then they give the ball to the other person as sort of like a penalty. We were never told the rules. I assumed it was like no striking, no submission holds. But there was some times where I felt like they were striking. And did at the end, did they? I would have liked to have known if they had okayed that with the judges first, because could they at any point have said, I want to make this a boxing match? I want to make this a wrestling match. I want to make this like, could they have just modified the rules if they both agreed at any point? Yeah, there's a bit of ambiguity with like, we understand the purpose, but what are the rules? And I like to know rules. I'm sort of a rule kind of guy.
I don't know. I kind of like a general rule, and then you can work your way around it. So I kind of
I
liked
would have
how
liked
there
to have
was.
known.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. Like if you can use the rules, like there's the overarching rule that you need to have the
hmm
ball. Like what's the obviously they would have some safety concerns. So if you're like, I don't know,
Mm.
stomping on the person's head or like drowning them, I guess
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of like your human ethical
Couple
code.
a couple that I found pretty interesting was there was a rugby player, and he once he had the ball under one arm, he just did don't argues with the other arm. Like it's so interesting to see the different sort of tactics depending on their background and history.
Yeah. Oh, he was up
But I
against the sand fighter, wasn't it? The chick, like they get the lady,
yeah,
the
forget who he.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
the
that's right. Because that's right. She picked him,
yeah,
and she also picked the fighting pit rather than the agility course. And
yeah.
yeah,
Like she
he
did
just
pretty
dominated
well when it was like the sort of
when it
standing
was the
just push,
grappling and yeah,
but
yeah.
then he
But
was
once,
like he just picked her up right at the start.
literally,
It was just
yeah.
carried her around.
Um, and I loved. He's gone now, but the prison guard, he was such a sweetie. He was such like a gentle giant. I loved him so much.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to go into just I noticed, and this is something you mate. I haven't seen anything on TikTok or anything about this yet, but I guess living in 2023 in Western culture, which is quite woke, I suppose. It's really interesting to watch a show where they talk quite openly about women being almost inferior, and that like I guess I'm not very exposed to a lot of South Korean customs and stuff, but there is definitely still a massive imbalance, and thinking that women just aren't as impressive as men, I guess. Um, yeah, that was one thing I just noticed for sure. And there was one fight between a man and a woman where you could just tell that the man wasn't putting his effort in properly. He almost saw it as a game.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was yeah, there's definitely some interesting I guess that's the cultural difference. But
yeah.
what would you give this show? Would it be a recommendation?
I hate the editing, and I
Okay.
think if I if I had it's easy to say this in hindsight, I guess, but if I had made something, I would make it differently. But I'm super invested. I love this sort of show. Um, I'm so keen to watch more. I'd pretty much stop myself from watching episode 4. It's hard if I'm just going by like actual skill in the execution. It's like a 1.5, but I'm obsessed. To me, it's like a 3.5, maybe even a 4. If you're interested in watching any sort of competitive sport or bodybuilding or wrestling or anything like that, you're probably going to enjoy this. There are a lot of big names. I mean, I don't know any of these names, but I'm actually super impressed at the turnout they got. It's really, really interesting to watch all these different body types come together and compete.
Yeah.
So if you're into that stuff, it's probably going to be like a 4 for you. But if you're not, even like Eb's gone through before me, like this is kind of boring. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Just from a purely, is this a good show in terms of its execution? No, not really.
Yeah, it's definitely, you got to be into like sport and competition to like really sort of enjoy it. Where I like it in terms of like even UFC, like styles make fights. Like I enjoy seeing different styles come in, seeing who's going to be the better. Like there's no,
Definitely.
even in UFC, there's no one style that's better. It's always about the competitor, like utilizing it. So that's what I like. I like seeing the difference. I like seeing the powerlifters versus like the more nimble sort of MMA guys. I like to see the whole different structure where I'm definitely invested. I hate the dub, but I also laugh at the dub because it's so bad. Like there's literally, I think there was 4 or 5 for the fights where they were literally like the entire time, oh, look at his back muscles. Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in such good shape. And it was the same voice and it was really funny, but really terrible at the same time.
No, I couldn't do it.
It made me laugh, like especially during those moments, just because it reminded me of like watching a bad dub the entire time.
That's
like
same. That's why I stopped watching it, because it
like,
made me laugh in moments where I'm trying to be enthralled, not entertained humorously.
Kind of like Kung Pao and like those kind of moments where I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
different.
No,
that's meant to be funny.
No, this was too.
Yeah, it came across very comical.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they missed the tension just due to how delayed and repetitive a lot of the edits were. Where it takes you out of it. Where it was nice to have that comical side, which wasn't intentional. But whatever, I do.
For you anyway.
Yeah, I do recommend it. Like if you like sport, you like competitors, like competition, check it out. If you like Survivor and like the challenges and stuff, you'd probably like this.
Probably.
But if you're not in the sport, you're not in the competition, this isn't for you. So for me, it's a 3 just due to its execution. Like as a whole, like I still recommend it, and which is, as I've always said, it needs to be a 3 to be able to be recommended. So that's where it sits.
Yeah, that's understandable.
All right, moving on to another competition. This is a record of Ragnarok, which is on Netflix, a Netflix animation or anime, if you will. Essentially, every 1,000 years, the gods council assemble to decide the fate of humanity. After 7 million years of human history, the gods come to the decision that humans are irredeemable and must be extinct. So this, I don't know what they were trying to go for, like a grand scale battle or whatever. People talk real highly of the manga. Like it's apparently quite popular, hence why Netflix sort of picked it up. This is obviously the gods are having a council. They think humans are obviously not worth redeeming, and a Valkyrie comes into the council and then challenges the gods to save humanity to Ragnarok, and that's
Brumhilda.
Yeah, that's essentially the entire story wrapped up as the overarching whatever. She is. So Van Hilda is bringing the best human fighters through history, which is a cool idea. But obviously everything is very dramatic. So obviously it's highly dramatized in terms of where they're going. So we watched
understatement.
We watched the first 3 episodes, and obviously the start is the council and setting up for this big grand scale battle. And the first 3 episodes, and I haven't seen the conclusion because I don't care. Like, it's Thor, which they've taken a different approach for Thor, which was it was had
Mm-hmm.
some interesting ideas. And
Yeah.
Lu Bu, is that how you say his
Lu
name?
Bu. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the Chinese general
Yeah, it
who,
was a Chinese warlord.
yeah, which is
Mm.
kind of cool because I
Yeah.
kind of like playing him in the Total War games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
remember him from Dynasty Warriors as well, actually.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
you're taking big figures
Yeah.
from
It's the
history.
best fighters in history versus the gods. And we find out that Brumhilde, the Valkyrie, is sort of using this as like she's using it to plot against the gods, and she's this is a whole convoluted thing, but supposedly the Valkyries can turn into weapons. So all the Valkyries turn into weapons, and they are the weapons that humans fight with to enhance their powers, and so the humans can become more powerful or just as powerful as gods.
That's the only
Which I
reason
mean,
they can, which makes
yeah,
sense.
at least it levels the field. Because as we're watching the because what happens is we get the fight and they sort of start the fight, sort of not really, and then we start to get some backstory. And Loki, not Loki, Thor's backstory was, him defending Asgard from the Jotnar. And they make him, obviously these stories of Thor is that he is a huge, the most powerful thing on the fucking all corners of the universe. And then I'm like, well, there's no way any human's going to be that powerful. So at least the weapons do sort of make it believable that they can compete.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'll just start by saying that I how do I put this? I'm a bit of a snob. And the whole time watching this, because I really like mythology, especially Norse mythology, and watching this the whole time, I'm like, why does Thor look like that? And why does Odin say that? And why do Hugin and Moon and Ogun's ravens say dumb shit like that? And like, if I had to turn that off a little bit and sort of just, remind myself that this is Japanese adaptation. This is not, they're meant to be, all the gods working together. It's ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, if you're a big mythology fan, you're probably getting a little bit annoyed. You got to switch off. You got to switch off your correction brain. I did anyway.
yeah. I don't know. I didn't mind them taking their own spin on the different people. Like, obviously, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
make it their own, which is fine. That my
Yeah.
biggest problem is there was not enough focus. Like, just when a fight was sort of starting, they'll do like one attack, and then it would be like, here's some backstory, and then it'll be like back to a next attack. Here's some more backstory. Like, it was just,
Yeah.
I want,
Yes.
I want a better flow, but you just kept feeding me so much information,
Yes.
and I
My
just
God.
wanted to, like, I'm in here because I want to see those fights. Like,
Yes.
all the successful like animes, they give us the backstory, but it's like they'll give us enough of a fight and like
Mm-hmm.
keep us hanging, and then they'll go into backstory. Like Naruto does it so often. Like, we'll get a big chunk of a fight, then they'll go into the backstory so we get to understand the villain, then it'll come back to the fight and we'll get that
Mm-hmm.
conclusion. And that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Where
Yeah.
don't show me one attack, then give me backstory and
Literally.
then go back to it.
Literally. And
Uh,
and all the backstories were told in almost like storyboard way. Like there wasn't even moving images. So much of this was told in just like stills with narration.
yeah.
Um, yeah, for a show that was meant to be the gods versus the best fighters in human history, it's fucking boring.
All right.
Really boring.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested just to see what like people they're going to pull, like the fighters and the gods, who they're going to match up.
I,
But
I just found the list and I'm like, that's all I wanted to know.
okay, like I might put it
Already looked
on.
all up, yeah.
Right, I might put it on the background and do it as I'm doing something else. But there's no way I'm going to sit there and
Yeah.
actually invest my time into it.
I'll quickly
Which
tell you because I think it's
okay,
interesting. The next fight is between Zeus and Adam, and I'm guessing Adam is in Adam and Eve.
no,
Um,
that's
yeah. The only other names on the human side that I know and recognize are Jack the Ripper, which is
okay.
interesting. Nikola Tesla,
What?
who did not fight,
Like pick
and
fighters?
Buddha.
What are you doing?
Yeah, and
All
then the
right,
gods, they've got like Zeus, Poseidon, Heracles or Hercules, Shiva, Hades, Beelzebub, Odin, Loki. So yeah, interesting. But all I wanted to know was how they depict them.
How the
Um,
hell's Tesla gonna
I
fight?
know I'm guessing he's gonna have like I don't know electricity and some shit. Like his model looks like fucking Iron Man. So I'm
Right.
guessing he's like meant to be enhanced by electricity. I fucking know.
Nah, whatever. Just-
No, it's not good. I'm not a fan. I have nothing really more to say about this. I think I even wrote my notes like our mate Grads would love this. Shout out to Grads, love you. Um, it's kind of cool to see history versus mythology. Um, but it's not told well. This could have been really fucking interesting and fun. Imagine this shot in a way similar to, and I can't believe I'm referencing this, but Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Imagine this was filmed in any like with any care and attention that was. Not very different budgets, but I don't know. I feel like
yeah.
this is a huge missed opportunity.
Oh, massively. What would you give it?
Like a 1.5, a 2.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
aren't even redeeming moments. The first 3 episodes was boring as shit. Like I need to buy 3 episodes. I need to be at least wanting to watch the next. No, couldn't
No,
care less.
that's true. Yeah, I would give it a 1 as well. I wouldn't recommend it. Like the
Mm,
animation at moments, like the fight scenes, it was reasonable animation. Like it was definitely too standard, but nothing about it was like that overly interesting. The only character I was kind of interested in was the Valkyrie, whatever her name was. Like
yeah,
she's
Brumhilda. Yeah.
yeah, like she seemed obviously a little bit manipulative and a little bit of
Hmm.
mystery like
Yep.
surrounding her, and that was about it. I didn't really care about anyone else.
Yeah.
Like
Because
they
the only
just
character who had character.
yeah, they
Like
just
none of the other characters did had anything, any purpose.
yeah. Thor was just a mindless like barbarian essentially, and just wanted to
Yeah.
fight. Same as Lu Bu. Like
Hmm.
I wanted them to have more personality and more,
Yeah.
but it just never happened. So I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend that to go and
Nah, it's
see. So
boring.
give it a miss. But we can go into our next Netflix one, which is
Mm.
Pamela, a love story. So I'm very interested to see your take on this. So I am obviously a big fan of Pamela, and during the 90s and early 2000s, obviously Baywatch was still going in the early 2000s. It wasn't like being made, but it was still getting a run here and there, especially on Foxtel. Foxtel did continually push it. I think it was Fox 8 or whatever. Pretty sure they were giving it a run.
No.
No,
Those who aren't watching the VOD, the whole time we're talking, I'm shrugging my shoulders.
right.
I have no history with Pamela Anderson. Um, I know nothing about her. I've watched nothing she's in. I even said last episode that we did, I scrolled through her IMDb, and besides her little appearances in a few things, I've watched nothing of hers. So
Yeah, we're on the opposite scales. So I remember being a young boy and quite I
nah,
guess infatuated with
I've never found her hot.
uh
It's
yeah
not my type.
yeah I was hook line and sinker. Uh, so
Nah,
so I watched her in Barbed Wire. I watched her sitcom Stacked. I watched Baywatch. Like I was like, yeah, give me more.
yeah,
Um,
right.
so,
Nah,
but unfortunately,
interesting.
yeah,
We've had very different takes on this. Then, yeah, go on.
yeah.
I'd like to hear it.
So unfortunately, I did fall into I guess, the media portrayal. So I've never sort of delved into the backstory of
Yeah.
Pamela and like the impact that everything's had. Like
Hmm.
from this documentary, I have a whole output of like who she is and what type of
Yep.
person she is,
Yep.
where I do feel a little bit sad in terms of how I sort of perceived her, and that's how the media sort of threw her across.
Definitely. Yep.
Um, it's kind of a funny story, but I don't know how it comes across. But in year 6, we were learning improper fractions. This is the first time how I learned about Pamela Anderson. So
Okay.
my parents found it very funny when I came home from school and said this. So my year 6 teacher was teaching us fractions, and we're doing improper fractions where he was teaching us how to do it, and then he's like, so the reference is the Pamela Anderson fractions, and like being a year 6 student, that went completely over my head.
Big on
And
top.
and I went home and told my mum and dad, and his whole thing was like they're top heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was my first interaction. And as I got older, I was like, what does that mean? And I started delving into it. And that's how my um
Yeah. That's
introduction
kind of
to
funny. Yeah.
introduction to Pamela Anderson was. So
But it really is. And you said it, how we just viewed her. Like I 100% admit that I viewed her on the same level as like Paris Hilton. Just dumb blonde in it for the body. This like even at the beginning, my first note is I'm terribly bored. I'm terribly bored. I don't care at all. I didn't go into this with a very neutral mindset. Um, yeah, I didn't think she was going to be an interesting person. I didn't think that I would actually be on her side by the end of this. But I mean, obviously, it's biased. It's a story about her told by her. I don't know both sides of the story or any other sides of the story, but yeah, by the end of this, I was rooting for her. At the end, not really a spoiler territory, but at the end, we see a bit of a positive lift to the story, and we see her living a life of she goes to Broadway. And it's I was like rooting for her. I was so excited for her. And yeah, that's obviously good storytelling.
yeah.
But yeah, do you want to go for it?
Yeah, so obviously we are starting with Pamela giving us like her sort of life story, seeing her in her home town or wherever it was. I can't remember exactly, but the island
Some
in
island
Canada.
with like,
Yeah,
yeah, what's some island with 9,000 people? Like it's just like this little butt fuck nowhere.
it's pretty cool. Like her
Mm,
living like so close to the water and like on this island. It's really
yeah.
cool. And I
Mm,
never knew how she had her like rise to fame as well. So she's just your sort of typical average kid who unfortunately has a little bit of a complicated home life, like her mum and
mm,
dad. Her dad's a little bit, I don't know what's the word, bit sort of
absent.
he's absent. He's a little bit sort of verbally abusive to
He
mum
was a
and dad.
gambler as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah, bit of a drunk, I think.
yeah, I don't want to use like drop kick as like a word, but that's it kind of how it paints him. But I
Yeah.
guess he's still around by the end, and mum and dad are sort of have an on again, off again sort of
Mm,
relationship. We
mm,
do get to learn how, which you wouldn't really know based on how she's portrayed or how she comes across, but she's definitely an introvert. And like her
yeah.
whole, unfortunately, she had a bit of abuse that happened, which we
Hmm.
find out as it goes on. So she has such a tough sort of upbringing and a lot of things to overcome, which you would never have known unless you kind of know her story or watch the
Mm,
documentary. And she
hmm.
goes in about how her rise to fame. She was at a football match, and the camera just sort of zoomed in on her because she was wearing the was it team logo, like blue, whatever it was.
Yeah, I forget.
She was
I got
wearing
to admit, I was falling asleep at the beginning.
right. She was wearing the t-shirt, and the cameraman kept going into it. And then because of that, she got to go down on the field, and then she started getting like the publicity just because, well, she was attractive wearing the
Yeah.
t-shirt. And then all of a sudden, like Playboy started coming
Yeah.
in and started to call her, and for her to reclaim her like identity because she
Hmm.
was sexually abused and stuff
Yeah.
earlier on, and she was shutting that out due to that survival mechanism,
Yeah.
like where you
Yeah.
suppress everything. She wanted to reclaim herself, and that's why she was
Hmm.
like yes to
Empower.
yes to Playboy,
Hmm.
which makes a like logical sense in terms of where you're
Totally.
going. But in
Yep.
terms of everyone being introduced to her, like they would have just seen this blonde, attractive female being pushed out by the media. And
Yep.
that's essentially the image they continually push, where I think she
Hmm.
does well in addressing that and like how obviously as it all unfolds. I don't want to spoil the entire story for you because I think this is definitely worth a watch to get a whole different
Yep.
perspective on what's happening.
Hmm.
Like after she meets like Tommy, so Tommy's obviously the Motley Crue drummer, and
Yep.
there's the whole back and forth. Like I would like to see Tommy's side in terms of how all of this affected him,
Yeah.
because obviously we've got the Hulu show as well, so they do like a retelling of sex tape scandal. So obviously how that
Mm.
came out, and Tommy's not painted in a good light. Obviously, the story, so it goes, is that Tommy was not a nice guy and refused to pay. So
Yeah.
the builder stole the tape and then released it and whatever.
Oh, is that really right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's essentially, they apparently still don't know who stole the tape, but it's
Yeah, that's what
alleged
she
that
said.
it was one of the builders. Like, she doesn't want to go
Also,
there.
it pissed me off how blasé Tommy Lee is through all of that. And she said it herself, where in the sex tape, people see him as a rock star, and it sort of helped lift his image, whereas it just made her more of a token, and it just made her more of an object in the eyes of the masses. And it's fucking true. It's 100% true. You know, it's hard sometimes to sit back and remember that these celebrities don't just want to be seen no matter what. And when the sex tape came out and all that, you know, I was young. I had no idea about it. When I was old enough to understand all that, I assumed that they either intentionally leaked it or they intentionally put it out there, or I sort of just assumed that she had some part in it. Whereas something we learn in this, I mean, I was also like, you know, why would you film it if you didn't want people to see it? But we learn in this that they film everything.
Yep.
That's what they did. That's just how they lived their lives, more or less. She journaled everything and filmed everything. And I loved that in this retelling, we didn't have to be told the story through like publicity headlines and, you know, newspaper, whatever. We were told this story through those tapes and through a voiceover of her. She didn't do the actual voiceover, but the voiceover of her journaling. Yeah, it was a good retelling in that sense, I think, and a necessary retelling. Obviously biased, but you know.
Oh, I think it's important to get all sides of the story. Like, you've essentially only got the media tabloids story of how they want you to perceive everything. I think it's very important before you make a judgment call on anybody is to obviously try and get all sides of a story and make your judgment from there.
Yeah.
Like,
before we continue with the story, there was a line she said that made me laugh. She goes, he put ecstasy in my wine. I've never had ecstasy before. And then he said to me, have you felt this way before? And I'm like, no, I haven't. So then he proposed and I said, yes. I'm like, well, you've just had ecstasy for the first time, which is, you know, a drug that makes you super fucking horny. You had ecstasy the first time, someone asked you to marry him, and you're like, oh, I've never felt this way before. Like, obviously, you haven't felt this way before. But their love, like she says at the end when she's talking to her son, I've never loved someone like I've loved Tommy Lee. Yeah, I was rooting for her. I really, really was.
Yeah, like she's obviously was all about the highs of like the romantic sort of love. Like how easily and how quickly she got married was kind of astonishing. And then what I laughed about when she was telling the story about the poker player, she was like, oh, maybe I should marry my friend. And then she married the her like best friend poker player. And then it was like
straight away.
They even had the sound effects like dialed in. It was like, I found a crack pipe in the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It was like, then we got divorced. And like she was laughing about it still, like whose crack pipe was it in the Christmas tree? And then like, oh, then he got clean. Then we got married again, and it was like all upbeat, and it was like, oh, it didn't last long.
And that didn't last. Yeah.
Like,
that was cool. That was cute.
I think she does really well with like being herself and using where she is and what she's got to be able to sort of help and advance what she was. Like, it would have been a very tough time for her. Like, the entire world sees you just as this like blonde bimbo that
an object,
like leaked a sex tape. And I really liked how she was then obviously using that to help her like push for her animal activists and like making people go vegetarian and stopping.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and stopping the seal trade into Russia and like making friends with Vladimir Putin. I know that's probably, I don't know where that sort of stands now with the whole Russia thing, but regardless,
she made friends with him. She wrote him a letter and he agreed.
Yeah, well, whatever. Like she was helping the SEALs not being like mass murdered and sent off
Exactly.
into
Yeah.
Russia. Like she's doing a lot of good. What I found
Yep.
interesting was the comment about like money. Like there was a point at the start where they started mentioning about how she wasn't good with money, and like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I feel really bad for her. I was like, surely with your like publicity and all the stuff you've done, like you'd have a very financially secure. And then
Mhm.
as she's packing to go to Chicago, you see like her shipping containers full of clothes and
Yeah.
shoes.
Full of clothes and
And
shoes.
I'm like, wait, hang on. How much money do you
Yeah.
got? So then I
They were
Googled it.
watching the old tapes on a fucking CRT, probably like 1994 television, but she has shipping containers full of clothes. I mean, good on her. That's,
Yeah.
something she
So
finds important.
then I Googled her net worth, and I was like, oh, okay, like she's quite, it was like 20
She's
million
still
net
got
worth
money.
or something. Like I don't
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think she's gonna go too badly in money, but I do like how she wanted to capture and help as many people as possible. And
Yep.
I like how she was able to deflect and still push
Yes.
on in terms of like she could have withdrawn, and she
Yep.
actually makes that comment where like you can either withdraw and like suppress everything, or you can like love more and try and
Yes.
do what you can. I really like that. I
Mhm.
like the message that she's putting
Same.
across. I did like how they delved into how the kids went with it. Like obviously
Yep.
there was a little bit of a focus on the kids, Brandon and
Dylan.
Dylan. I would have
Mhm.
liked a little bit more insight with Dylan, because Brandon obviously was, I'm assuming, the older one, and was
Yeah, he
kind of
was.
like dealing and relaying information, obviously, when things moved on and time sort of not
Yep.
sort of heals wounds, but it makes you more resilient to it, I guess.
Mhm.
And then obviously Hulu then are bringing back the whole sex tape scandal, and that's
Yep.
obviously having such a big impact. Where Brandon was ringing the mum and saying he watched the first 3 episodes and was told Dylan not to watch it. Like, why was Dylan not watching it? Like, was Dylan having
Yeah.
a tougher time with it? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
there is a voiceover where the kids are training martial arts, and obviously it would have been very difficult having those two high profile celebrities as parents with that whole
Definitely.
scandal. Like, you would have
Yeah.
got, unfortunately, quite a lot of comments coming your way,
Yeah.
which would
Definitely. And
which
to have a mum who's just seen as an object would be really, really scary. Like, imagine, there are moments in this where she's going to their soccer games and their, performances and whatever. And you can look at the whole crowd just staring at it. I think that with all celebrities though, like you can't just be a parent when you're a celebrity. I think that would be really difficult to handle and to navigate.
They would, but like I think due to the nature of everything that was going on, I feel like there would have been a whole new complexity going
Yes,
on.
100%. There'd be
And
to not to get too psychological, but there'd be some weird psychological shit with your mother being a sex object and seeing her tits all over the place and knowing there's sex tape stuff out there.
oh yeah,
Um,
and I guess that's
you
why he went
wonder.
straight to violence, as he says. Like any comments that were
Yeah.
made, he went straight to violence. Like it would be,
Hmm.
it's yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate for them, but it seems like they're reasonably well adjusted based off what we've seen. Like,
Yep.
I
Yeah, for
think,
sure. I love their relationship. Like watching them all hanging out, like the Brandon, Dylan, and Pamela hanging out
yeah,
throughout this was it's nice. Like you can tell she always had a very good relationship with her sons through all this. And she said herself, like she didn't really, she loved Tommy Lee and she had feelings for her other husbands. Um, but ultimately her kids mattered always. I'll always keep them safe.
mm,
She was like she was a bit of a boss. She didn't take shit. And she at one point said how because she was this sex object, a lot of people just loved her initially for that and wanted to be with her for almost the clout.
yeah,
And then they realized that she's actually powerful and a bit of a boss. And she wouldn't deal with any shit. Like you look at her and you think that she's just gonna like, I don't, but a lot of men would just think that she's gonna be the housewife, the sex object that the arm candy.
yeah.
But no, she stood up for herself and didn't take shit and wanted to be a breadwinner and whatever. Like a lot of men can't deal with that.
Yeah. Like I think she's very funny as well. Like the whole snippets with Kid Rock when it was like,
Yeah.
oh, how you going, Kid Rock? And like, why'd you marry? And he's like, Kid Rock's flexing. It's like
Like that right there.
there's not much there's not
Nah.
much there. It's like she's funny, she's charismatic. Like
Yeah.
there's so much more to her than what you would think. Like
Yeah.
I loved this documentary. I thought it was fantastic. I
It
would
definitely improved. The beginning, I didn't care. I think I'd probably have a different mindset rewatching the beginning.
yeah.
But I feel like they almost needed to start with the end and show us a bit of her and make me like her a bit more before we start going into a backstory.
Yeah,
Because I went into it negatively.
yeah, but I think it's very few people, well, not few people, but majority of the people sort of, well, my age or older would know Pamela. So probably would have consumed anyone sort of growing up in the 90s,
Yeah.
like would have had that connection already
Yeah.
to or heard of Pamela. And like
I wouldn't even have watched it if it wasn't for this.
yeah. So like
So I'm not the right audience.
yeah. So I guess, but like you've seen the story and probably have a newfound light for her,
Yeah.
considering what you've sort of been
But
based it on.
that's sort of my point, is that this had the power to change my opinion on Pamela Anderson. This needs to be sold to me, not just to me, but to other people in the same way. Like, if the beginning isn't entertaining, why am I going to stick around and really like Pamela Anderson by the end? If this wasn't for podcast, I wouldn't have watched past the first like 25 minutes because I didn't care about Pamela Anderson by then. I would have liked to have started the film really liking her, showing me something to make me like her more, show me she's a boss, show me her relationship with her sons, and then get into the story.
Yeah,
just so I can root for her a bit more.
Yeah. I would love to see Tommy's side of it though. Like I would really like Tommy Lee side, because essentially he's not painted in a good light from pretty much when he is at the Baywatch scene where she has to kiss the other actor and he just loses it and like punches and destroys the entire like trailer and is then always there. And he's like, they said the entire cast of Baywatch would like fully rechange the script if he was there, because he made everyone like nervous. And then there was the whole domestic abuse and stuff that happened because obviously you got two kids, and unfortunately your relationship does change a bit because you're not the sole focus. Like unfortunately you got to look after kids, so like he wasn't used to it. So that was his entire thing, like why he sort of raged out. Like I want more of the information to come in there. I'm kind of really invested into.
No,
don't
give him a voice. The one time that we saw an interview with him after he was incarcerated, he couldn't even apologize. He was like backpedaling, and he says something along the lines of, "All I ever wanted was love." Like he was defending his actions and being abusive. I don't know. I don't think people should deserve a voice if they're not the right people to be looked up to. Okay. So I'm kind of glad I didn't hear his side. I mean, I don't know. Again, this is my perception of him is based on this documentary, which, like you said, they intentionally make him almost the bad guy at times. But if he is who this story told us he is, I don't want to know his side of the story.
Okay. I still want to know, like, even when they were at the kids stuff, like he was still there, supporting his kids and stuff. So, I don't know. Like we don't know. I feel like he would have a very interesting story. Obviously, the rock and roll lifestyle would be pretty wild and so far from like your everyday sort of life. Like
of course,
I do like seeing those rock stars and what they get up to and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I feel like that would be interesting. But for me, this documentary was fantastic. It was I loved it. Like I was hooked. Changed my whole view on Pamela Anderson and the image that obviously I already had created. But for me, I'm almost tempted to go and break my rule of like a perfect documentary, perfect rating.
Wow.
Yeah,
I thought it was that good.
yeah. Well, I've already had the investment into Pamela Anderson, and for it to change my perspective on something and to have me like sit there for an hour and 52 minutes to be like fully invested and to really change my view on someone, I think it's extremely powerful. And I
Yeah.
would highly
But like
recommend.
from an execution perspective, like, yeah, sure, it was powerful and changed your opinion of her. Same. But I still don't think this is like the best documentary I've ever seen.
I don't know. I think I can't even think of another documentary that's had that connection. Like,
Fire.
yeah,
Fire.
yeah,
Um,
it's good. Like, I would say it's good, but I'm not emotionally connected to the Fire Festival. Like, if I was at the Fire Festival or I was like thinking about the Fire Festival, I would have more of an emotional connection to it. Where
okay. So
for
yeah.
me,
So right. For
I'm
you,
basing
this
it.
is the perfect documentary.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I was invested in it. Like, if they did one about Metal Gear Solid or like um
Okay. Okay.
something else I have an emotional connection to, I feel like it would be more powerful than. But yes, like technically there were some issues here and there, but overall I think it's definitely, it's a 4.5. I'm not going to go the perfect one. I highly
Wow.
enjoyed it, and I think everyone should probably definitely give it a go.
Okay. Um, to me, I don't know. It was inconsistent. The beginning, I couldn't give less of a shit about. And I know that I went into it sort of negatively. And I've already sort of said that, but I don't feel like the beginning was interesting at all until we met Tommy Lee, and then even then, I feel like the pacing was a bit average. My favorite part was the ending. The ending actually had a bit of a story. The editing was like better paced. When we're watching her go to Hollywood, like to Broadway and stuff. Um, I felt like it got better, definitely over time, but I don't think it was fantastic from start to finish. And that's, probably, like I said, my own biases going into it. But even like, retrospectively thinking about the whole thing, I still don't think it's a 4.5 from my perspective. To me,
Yeah,
it's like I'd recommend it, but not to everybody. Like a 3.5.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fair. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Love
But
seeing her happy at the end.
yeah,
Like she was genuinely happy at the end when she's doing her Broadway and stuff, and it was empowering. It's a good. It'd be good if you were teaching. If I was like a woman studies teacher, this is like a good little like woman empowerment story.
yeah,
So
that's good.
yeah,
Yeah. So next week we got a pretty solid lineup. It's a Disney and Netflix special. So on Disney we have
no
summertime.
movies.
No movies. So we have Summertime Rendering, which is on Disney. So this is Disney's like attempt to really push into the anime market as well. So they are slowly gathering a number of animes to, I guess, compete with Funimation and Crunchyroll, because they did merge. So they essentially have all of the distribution of anime in the West, unless Disney can buy the rights for it. And then we have Gunther's Millions. So that is Netflix's newest sort of documentary about a dog with a trust fund. And
Love her series.
yeah, and Chunk on
Series
Earth,
is, yeah.
which is another mini series as well. So
Kunk.
what?
Kunk, not chunk.
Yeah, threw a H in
Kunk
there.
on Earth.
Yeah.
Looks hilarious. I love her. I've seen so many little snippets of her.
All right.
Absolutely hilarious. So yeah, I'm keen for that.
Yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll see what it's up and about. And yeah, that's it. That's all we got for you. Episode 25.
Thanks for
So
coming.
yeah, we appreciate you guys. And if you know anyone in Under Armour and you want to see us like repping the Under Armour, tell them about it. Tell your friends, tell them all, make the day better.
Tell
Make
all your friends.
get around it, get keen, and we shall see you next week. Bye.
Good stuff. Love yous.